What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Jedi In Exile, and what an episode we have for you today. Episode 1 of Season 3 of Mando has landed. We are talking Chapter 17, The Apostate. Stay right here, we're about to get straight into it. Brian.
Yeah.
Come on, hit me with it.
Well, I feel like it's not chapter 17, is it? Because of the Book of Boba Fett turned into
it's like chapter
Mando series 2.5.
20.
Yeah. So, listen, the first thing I have to say about this is obviously, the Mandalorian is one of the best things that's happened to Star Wars since Disney has taken it over. This episode for me really didn't feel like the first episode of a series, and I think that, as much as we laugh about it, I think that's probably been helped by the fact that we had Mando for 3 episodes in the Book of Boba Fett. So there's not been that lull period of knowing what's going on. So I thought this episode had really a bit of everything. It had some action in right at the start, the first sort of the opening before the main title theme. Obviously with the kid being bought his shiny new Mandalorian helmet.
They've gone back to the old Death Watch colours.
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely. Yeah, I really like those colours though. The kind of powdery kind of blue. Real bad kind of Django Fett vibes. But no, the episode had a bit of everything. We had Bo-Katan. It was just so good. It was just. Words kind of fail me with it because it just feels like there's going to be so much happening in this series. We've done for the last probably a year to 18 months, everything Star Wars really. There's been a lot of filler episodes in series that we've done, especially with things like, the animated stuff, with Bad Batch, Book of Boba Fett. A couple of the episodes felt a bit fillery in that. This, you can just tell, is going to be full-blown, in your face. We're going to see Mandalore. Will we get flashbacks to the Purge? We don't know, but we're going to see so much more. I see that it's going to be interesting as well because in that initial battle scene at the start, I can't remember his name, but I know it's Vizsla, his last name. I don't know if it's Pan Vizsla or if he was the ancestor from Death Watch. But the Vizsla obviously is the clan.
There's
Pre-Vizsla.
Pre-Vizsla. No, this is. I'm sure that this one is Pan Vizsla.
Yeah.
Is it not Jon Favreau?
Yeah, I feel like it is Jon Favreau. Yeah, it's obviously who Mando fights, doesn't he, in Book of Boba Fett for the Darksaber. So it's interesting, speaking of the Darksaber, Bo-Katan has basically lost all her followers because she's not a leader. When she's just sat there on that, she's just resting in their castle.
Part of me was devastated because I'm it's Bo-Katan and she's lost all sense of hope or anything, but also part of me was I love Bo-Katan. I looked at it and I was just this is
I was
amazing.
I was really hoping and kind of expecting that we might have seen Satine at that point in the castle. I was debating whether it was an old friend and maybe it was something that would then link into Rebels, because Satine, obviously her family had the castle in Rebels.
Satine's dead.
Oh, not Satine. I'm not Satine.
Do you mean Sabine?
For Sabine.
Sabine
yeah,
Wren.
Yeah,
I was like, what are you talking about? We might have seen Satine. Spoiler alert for Clone Wars, by the way.
I was really wondering why you were looking at me like that. I was like, what? Yes, Sabine.
Sabine
I was
Wren,
really hoping, because I feel like that we're going to see her at some point. We're going to see her in the Star Wars universe. I don't know whether it's going to be in the Ahsoka series or whether it's going to appear in
She is confirmed
Mando.
for Ahsoka.
Yeah, so I don't know whether that'll be her first appearance or whether they'll sneak her into this. But yeah, it's just such a well-rounded show. Again, I talk about that there doesn't feel like a lot happens in this episode, but it definitely doesn't feel like filler. Yeah. Even the stuff going back to Navarro to talk with Carl Weathers' character, even all of that, it just feels really we're onto something straight away. We're back into it, even though Mando Season 2 came out 2 years ago now, 2021 I think that Season 2 came out. It's been such a long time, but it feels like he's not been gone.
Yeah, and so I loved this, and I texted you after I'd watched the episode, and I said I don't know what it is. Yeah. I genuinely don't know what it is. I love Star Wars, and you put any of it in front of me, and I'm going to enjoy it because it's Star Wars. Yeah. But Mando, it excites me on a different level.
Well, you said something, and I've thought about that quite a lot actually. But just the fact that it's live action, I think I love the animated stuff. I'm a real like prequel fan. I love the Clone Wars. I love the Bad Batch that's coming out. Like I love the animated stuff, Rebels as well. But at the same time, live action just does hit different, doesn't it? Like
Kenobi was so good.
Yeah, you see the prosthetics again. They're using like obviously these pirates on Navarro. And again, I really wanted Hondo to be part of that. I'm like looking for like, you know, old friends, but just the detail, like the attention. And we know that season 4 of Mandalorian is already written. Jon Favreau has said that he's written it, doesn't really know where it's going eventually, but they've written another series. So we know we've got at least another, probably 15 episodes of Mando, potentially more, that's minimum. So it's just so exciting to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, I loved this episode. I thought it was so good. Like you said, it started out with some action that was awesome. I don't know, I read online that other people shared my opinion, which was I thought this was initially going to be a flashback and it was going to be Din getting his helmet and doing all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's cool to kind of actually see, because we get the impression that the Mandalorian kind of way, and I know that this is a very specific Mandalorian kind of way, but that the Mandalorian way is dying out, and that the Mandalorians are dying out. Particularly as we don't get to really see any of them in the actual sequel. Like, there's no reference to anything in the sequel trilogy, and so the fact that they are still kind of like inducting people, continuing the legacy was really cool. Obviously, we got to see the armorer back, delivering the classic lines. Love to see it. But for me, we got all these different like little Easter eggs and little fan nods. We got the Babu Frick species, it's the Arzanians.
Yeah, the Arzanians. Which was obviously which was related to the IGA-8 model, and you're like, oh, the IGA-8, which they had a statue of in Navarro
that was made out of his actual parts.
Which I thought was like a bit weird, but anyway.
But like that whole bit, and that made me laugh when one of them calls Grogu a bat, is like, you bad baby. Like, but really, really funny. And that's one of the things I think the Mandalorian does really well, is it finds that balance of kind of light-hearted moments that aren't there just for the sake of going, we need a cheap laugh to break this up a little bit. Like, it fits his character.
Well, we've seen it before in Mando, haven't we? The 2 stormtroopers trying to shoot the thing, like making a big joke about how they keep missing. Like, and you're right. It's not almost deliberate comedy. It's just, you know, we'll throw this in, and
the situation.
It really does. So it's like the vibe they give off. It's really, really good.
The massive thing that I think we can't finish up our chat without talking about is the Purgils, which for those who have seen Rebels or do their kind of like wider research and wider reading of materials, so basically there's creatures within Rebels that are kind of like space whale squids that
they're with us.
That can like they like swim through hyperspace. And there's a whole host of other stuff. I kind of don't want to ruin it for people that want to go and watch Rebels.
So spoiler alert, maybe just pause this video or skip like 30 to 60 seconds from now. So basically these whales, so what happens in Rebels? So how are they introduced? Just to people through.
So Ezra and Kanan get stranded, and they use these to kind of find their way back. So they're kind of these... They have like a super strong affinity to the Force, and there's all this stuff that's going around. Obviously, linking back to the Bad Batch episode that we had a couple of episodes back, where there was like the ancient technology. The one that we joked was very much like Moana with the stealing the like heart of the island type thing. And it's kind of likened back to some of the stuff that happened in Jedi Fallen Order as well, with some of the ancient temples and stuff. So there are much wider kind of things at play here. But what we got to see, so for people that didn't pick up, is when Mando and Grogu are traveling through hyperspace and you can kind of see these silhouettes, that's what they are. And so the fact that all they've done here is drop that in, it's just that again,
we might not ever see them again. No, it was just a quick, like, it was probably a 30 or 60 second scene. Like...
But again, it's that like nod to the wider mediums, the wider kind of material that is out there, And it also is that thing
I feel like it just rewards people who have watched everything.
Yes.
Filoni is like, if you've watched everything, fair play, you're going to get this straight away.
Yeah,
like,
and this is the thing. Like, I text you saying about that straight after I'd seen the episode, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is huge."
Yeah.
And the whole thing here is they might have nothing to do with the rest of it, and you could enjoy that moment whether you had seen the stuff in Rebels or not, because you looked at it and kind of went, "Oh, it's like when you see people, in movies where they're on a boat and they see dolphins or whatever." It's that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that I think that they do really well. They do this classic movie and TV tropes, but in the Star Wars universe, and that's what makes this show so great, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about it.
Yeah, no, great. And obviously the episode ends with Din with the Mandalorian going to see Bo-Katan, obviously seeing what's going on with her. He wants to go back to... What's interesting to me as well, he knows he needs to go and bathe in these waters, but he doesn't know where they are. So it's really striking that you would think somebody who's brought up in like the Mandalorian faith would know that, but of course Din was probably only like 10 when Mandalore had the purge. So there's a lot of probably these Mandalorians who don't really remember Mandalore, and so because you would think that any Mandalorian who's worth his salt would know where these waters are, because it's almost like it's obviously this redemption he's got, isn't it, that he can get back into the Creed by bathing in these waters and walking out, etc. But Bo-Katan has to tell him where to go. So
the other thing that's interesting about that is everybody is under the assumption that it's poisonous.
Yeah.
But is this one of those...
And he's got this like shard, hasn't he? He's got this like crystal thing, which is what they think the surface is covered in.
But is this one of those things where the Empire have gone in, done their thing, and then they've gone, it's poisonous, it's a no-go zone, like anybody that goes is going to die, and actually it's just a way to try and keep people away?
It reminded me a little bit, and I don't think it's going to play out like this, but just the way when I heard about the poisonous stuff, and I had the same thoughts as you, like there's clearly going to be nothing wrong with the surface maybe, really reminded me of Hunger Games of District 13, where the capital had told the 12 districts, District 13 was lost, it was the one which had nuclear weapons, like it was our military division, we've lost it, like it's gone. When actually District 13 was alive and well, and, was functioning. So I feel like there may be something... Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see. So for me, before this episode came out, I wanted... The bits I was most excited to see about were the flashbacks. So Grogu, I want to know how the hell Grogu survives Order 66, because we've already seen a flashback where he's inside the temple when the purge is happening. And so I want to know the story behind that. That's what I was most excited for. Now, knowing that we are going to see Mandalore and see him go there and maybe bathe in these waters or do whatever he's got to do, yeah, I'm super, super excited. One thing I will say made me laugh, and I know people online have been talking about this, how they were going to play off the Cara Dune leaving.
Yeah, we can't finish talking about this without
so the last thing I will say on this is that everybody's saying, like, are they going to nip it in the bud straight away? What are they going to do? Yes, it was in the first, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Lands on Navarro. He's like, oh, what's happened to Cara? and
Special Forces, you're never going to see her again. She's gone.
She took Moff Gideon in, and she's gone. So... Yeah, I mean, enough said about that. That's done. But that did make me laugh. How just the one line, and they were like, "Yep, she's gone. Special Forces."
The thing that I am so intrigued for, and I'm not going to say this is my theory because I don't know if it'll happen.
Yeah.
But after watching the episode, I sat and I kind of
contemplated.
Contemplated kind of what we'd seen and what we might get to see and all of that kind of stuff. And what I really want to see happen is I want to see Din go through this whole process to kind of absolve himself.
Yeah.
Get to the point where he's kind of redeemed himself. Start to unite the widespread clans, and then I want Bo-Katan to just come knock on the door and be like, "I'm challenging you. This is it now. You go do the hard work, and then I'm coming in, and this is what's going to happen." So I actually wouldn't be surprised if we don't see that much of her for a large chunk of this series, because I think that she's pretty much set out her stall and said, "I'm not interested right now."
I think what will be interesting for me as the series goes on, we're clearly going to see more of Moff Gideon, so something's going to happen there, because Giancarlito, whatever his name is, Esper, Gus from Breaking
Giancarlo
Bad.
Esposito.
Yeah. So he's in this series. So clearly the whole... I know they've obviously used this line with Cara Dune to, say where she's gone. But he's in this series. So I am intrigued as to...
Well, they said... He asked about him, didn't he? And he said, he's been shipped off to some prison.
New Republic. And it's interesting, actually, as well, in how the politics works in the New Republic. Everyone now is almost sick of the Republic, the old Republic, and sick of the Empire. They're like, no, we want to do things ourselves. We want to be single states, if you like one planet, one rule, that's it. So it's interesting that there's probably a lot of problems in the New Republic for this. So, yeah, I mean, whether we get like a CGI Leia, like we did Luke in the end of season 2 of Mando, there's just so many possibilities.
Yeah, and I think that is the
timeline we're
thing.
in.
You just don't know what's coming. The only person that does is big Filoni.
Yeah, Filoni and Favreau.
Yep, and we trust in them.
It's just
always
exciting.
Always. So guys, if you've enjoyed hearing us chat about that, then why not go check out some of our other awesome content right here. And other than that, we will see you all really, really soon in the next one.
This is the way, and may the Force be with you all.